They whisper of werewolves in the dark, of silver bullets and full moons, of snarling jaws and the cursed men who lose themselves to the beast inside. But in nearly every tale, it's always him. The man, the cursed son, the hunter, who becomes the hunted. And yet hidden beneath centuries of patriarchal myth lies a much older truth, a forgotten force cloaked not in shadow but in silence. The she-wolf, she has been erased, her story fragmented across folklore like shattered bone beneath the weight of time. Yet her howl has never stopped echoing. It vibrates through the darkened woods over ancient stones, carried by the wind that remembers what men have tried to forget. For she was never the victim. She was the beginning. Long before the European tales of the cursed nobleman or the bloodthirsty peasant, there were stories of the wild woman, a fierce, shape-shifting guardian of the forest, mother and monster, protector and predator. In Norse legend, there is Skadi, the winter goddess, sometimes said to wear a wolf's pelt. In Armenian myth, there are the Kaftariks, women who are cursed or chosen depending on the telling to transform into wolves beneath the moon. Even in ancient Greece, there are whispers of Lycaena, the shadowy twin to the more famous Lycaon. The male werewolf mythology has always focused on brute strength, loss of control, rage. But the she-wolf's story is far more nuanced. She is no accident of the curse. She is transformation by will, adaptation by design. Where the male loses himself, she becomes more. In Native American lore, she-wolves were not cursed, but revered, symbols of protection, intuition, and feminine power. In some tribes, the wolf woman was a spiritual guide, embodying the harmony between the human soul and the animal world. Even in the darkest tales, those soaked in fire and accusation, she-wolves were feared not for their savagery, but for their control. The world could never decide whether to worship her or burn her. And so, the story we know today has been hollowed out, a tale of testosterone and terror dripping in fur and fury, stripped of balance. But now, we return to the origin, to the truth of the she-wolf. Not just a monster in the woods, but a woman of unshakable strength, of deep emotion, of blood and bone forged through centuries of survival. This is her story, not a correction, a reclamation. To understand the she-wolf is to understand power, not just brute force, but the elegant brutality of nature herself. Her transformation is not chaos, it is ceremony. When the she-wolf changes, it is not the shredding of skin and loss of control that so often defines the male werewolf's curse. It is a controlled ignition, the unleashing of something ancient and knowing. Her bones shift with purpose, her sinews stretch with precision. Where the male often becomes unrecognizable in his beast form, the she-wolf retains a haunting trace of the woman beneath, feminine, powerful, and terrifyingly composed. Her strength is not just in her muscle, though she is stronger than any mortal man. Her tendons coiled with the tension of a predator who has known both childbirth and war. Her claws are curved not merely to rend, but to grip, to hold, to protect what is hers. Her fangs are not just tools of violence, but instruments of judgment, sharp enough to punish, precise enough to spare. Her senses are hyper-attuned, honed not just for the hunt, but for the hidden. She feels vibrations in the soil beneath her, feet, tastes emotion in the air, senses lies in the tremble of another's heartbeat. Her sight pierces the dark not only in the forest, but in people. She sees the intentions lurking behind words, the truths that others dare not speak. And her intuition, oh, her intuition. It's not superstition, it's survival. While the male wolf may howl at the moon in madness, the she-wolf listens to it, understands it. It pulls on her blood like a tide, sinking her strength to the lunar cycle. Her emotions are not a weakness. They are weapons honed by instinct and refined by pain. But perhaps her most extraordinary ability is her connection to the earth itself. Trees lean toward her presence. Winds shift when she breathes. She does not merely live in the wild. She is the wild, pulsing with the same rhythm that once ruled the world before cities and steel. The transformation is not just physical, it is spiritual. In becoming wolf, the woman sheds the constraints of her human form, but not her humanity. Instead, she fuses them. becoming both protector and predator, heart and fang. The she-wolf is a force of nature, and nature, as we know, is not kind, it is fair, and it is unforgiving. Strength is often mistaken for silence, control, a cold, emotionless facade. But the she-wolf knows better. Her strength is not forged in the absence of feeling. It is because of it she feels deeply. Every life she ends, every life she saves, echoes within her like a drumbeat beneath the full moon. She has killed, yes. She has torn and ripped and defended with fang and claw. But she has also mourned and wept and healed with a depth of empathy that the world would never expect from something so feared. Her emotions are not shackles. They are survival. When a pack member falls, she feels it in her marrow. When her territory is threatened, her rage is not blind, it is precise, targeted, righteous. And when the wind carries the sound of an infant's cry, no matter the species, she listens. She responds. In a world that praises the detached warrior, she is the paradox, the nurturer with blood on her hands, the protector who does not flinch from pain, hers or anyone else's. But it is this emotional range, this balance between the feral and the feminine that draws suspicion, not from nature but from society. You see, the human world fears what it cannot categorize, and the she-wolf defies every box. They call her unstable, unpredictable, too emotional, too powerful, too much. But what they cannot understand, they try to suppress. They bind her in metaphor, dismiss her as myth, burn her at the stake in history and in story. They strip the she-wolf of her name, make her the monster, the seductress, the cursed woman who must be destroyed or tamed. Yet still, she rises. She adapts to survive, to slip through the cracks of a society that would rather forget her. She learns to blend, wearing human skin like a second pelt. She endures the ridicule, the judgment, the loneliness that comes from hiding her true form. And still, she thrives. That is her greatest strength. Not just the ability to transform, but the ability to return, to shed and regrow, to break and heal, to be wounded and still fight. The she-wolf knows what it means to be underestimated. She knows what it means to be hunted. And she knows how to survive when no one comes to save her. She saves herself again and again. That, in the end, is the essence of her power. Not invincibility, but resilience. Legends do not die, they evolve. And in the shifting smoke of ancient stories, the she-wolf's image begins to sharpen. No longer just the monster lurking in the woods. She is becoming a mirror, a symbol, a call. The world is beginning to remember her, to see her. In a time when women are reclaiming power long denied, the she-wolf rises not just as myth, but as metaphor, a living emblem of untamed strength and sacred rage. She is no longer cast aside in the werewolf pantheon, a footnote to the male's tragic tale. She is the fire beneath it, the storm that reshapes the myth itself. In her legacy, we find a new kind of heroine, not one who conforms to comfort or compromise, but one who walks between worlds, beast and woman, wild and wise. She represents the women who do not shrink, who feel too deeply, fight too fiercely, love too wildly. Women told to quiet their instincts, to dim their light, to soften their teeth. But the she-wolf shows them otherwise, that there is power in their hunger, in their intuition, in their fury. That softness and savagery can coexist. The she-wolf challenges the idea that strength must come in one shape, must speak in one tone, must look like him. Her strength is diverse. Some she-wolves lead packs. Some walk alone. Some rule from the shadows. Others howl for all to hear. They are mothers, warriors, lovers, witches, survivors, and sometimes all at once. Across cultures and ages, their names vary, but the essence is the same. The feminine force that cannot be tamed, and now in this new age of fire and reckoning, the she-wolf's howl grows louder, not as a cry for help, but as a warning, as a song, as a summoning. She is not here to take his place in the story. She is here to write her own, and to remind us that the future of the werewolf legend isn't male or female. It's balanced. It's wild, it's honest, it is her legacy, and it has only just begun. Listen closely, do you hear it? That low, resonant hum in your chest, not fear, but recognition. The she-wolf doesn't just live in myth or shadowed woods. She lives in you. She is the part you hide when the world demands you be small. The instinct you suppress when logic is praised over intuition. The howl you swallow when anger burns in your throat, and you're told to smile instead. But now is not the time for silence. Now is the time for awakening. To embrace the she-wolf is to reclaim what was buried: your strength, your vulnerability, your wildness, your voice. You are allowed to be fierce, to protect your peace like territory, to feel deeply and act decisively, to bleed and still rise with teeth bared and eyes clear. You are allowed to say no, to walk away, to run alone, to lead the pack, to choose your form and shift when the world demands you stay still. The she-wolf teaches us that we do not need permission to be powerful. That emotion is not weakness. That pain can become wisdom. That the wild within us is not something to tame, but something to honor. And when you stand tall, when you face the moon with your scars and stories, when you bear your truth in a world that thrives on disguise, you are not alone. Across time, across oceans, across legends, others are waking too. Other she-wolves who once hid their fangs, who once cried quietly into the night, now they howl back. Together, your chorus rises, not as monsters, but as a movement. This is not just a myth reborn, it is a revolution. So shed what no longer serves you. Run through the trees of your becoming. Feel the wind in your bones. And if you ever forget who you are, stand beneath the full moon, close your eyes and listen. The she-wolf will answer, and she will say, "You are powerful, you are wild, and you were never meant to be tamed." If you enjoyed this story and want more chilling legends and terrifying tales, make sure to like this video. It really helps us out. You can also click on our Ultimate Werewolf playlist to watch more horror and cryptid stories. The link is in the description below. And if you love horror, folklore, and unexplained mysteries, subscribe to the channel and join our growing community of fear seekers. But don't stop there. Turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon so you never miss a new story. Because in the world of horror, the scariest things happen when you least expect them. And trust me, you don't want to be left in the dark. Welcome to the darkness.